Hello, welcome to Comedy Nights with Team India, or should we say horror show in the Highveld, or just another dramatic day with Dravid in company, whatever you want to call it, whatever the headlines are in the morning. One thing is for sure, we'll have to wait another 2 to 3 years to breach this final frontier called South Africa because we can't do it. It's a two-match series, and they've taken an unassailable 1-0 lead, the host, thanks to a pumping by an innings and 32 runs. Virat Kohli, we so badly wanted to see that 100, but it wasn't to be. But let's get into the talking points and let's get into the rants, boys. I'm sick and tired of this. We have not learnt our lessons. Whether it's baseball, which actually prevails in January and then teaches these boys a massive overall will never happen. So Gurkirat, Nikhil, welcome to the show. Welcome to all the boys and girls as well. Straight away, 50 people watching. Give this particular show a like and of course subscribe if you guys are new. We've just hit 42.7 and not to forget there's some incredible content coming your way. Even though it's the end of the year, we deliver, unlike our team in whites. So Gurkirat, let's start with you then, because man, I mean, it just pains, bro. It hurts, it kills.
Uh, I mean, I honestly don't have much to add from what I spoke yesterday. Yesterday, probably there was some hope, but just the way India started today, you had first 6-7 overs where there was some control, and then Prasid comes on, and you see how the wheels were coming off. Ashwin tried, but just the way the bowlers were getting hit, and there was a clip on Twitter doing the rounds about how Australia bowled to Elgar in that series where they got him, caught down the leg side. India eventually got him out that way. Just how India got Travis Head out through a bouncer, but after conceding so many runs that it did not matter. So it's just the same old story, not learning from the mistakes. I said one thing yesterday, that if you take the scorecard out, and you look at bowlers bowl and how South African bowlers will bowl, you'll find out that it's panned out the same way how the last series panned out. South African bowlers getting far more bounce than India did, and you could see that in this innings. Some of the batting was definitely questionable. The bowls that happened, uh, just feeling a little sad for Kohli, in the sense that this was pretty much like his innings in the first innings of Cape Town Test last time, where you thought that he missed out on a well-deserving 100, but just ran out of partners. But even then, you just cannot go to an overseas tour with one batter or probably two batters and one bowler, offering you control and reliability. You need more than that. So, not surprised by the result at all. I was surprised that people were having a lot of hopes. I did not have any. The best case scenario would have been a 1-1 draw. And from here, I don't see how that's going to happen, because the batting, the bowling, the planning, even the
Wait,
catching.
one second. You didn't have any hopes even before the series started that we might nick a 1-0?
No, I did not. I did not think that India could win the series. I did not.
Come on, you're
So
saying that now in hindsight.
no, you can read all the WhatsApp messages. I was never too, or my tweets. I was never too optimistic. So I'm just saying that I they were found out in terms of batting, bowling, planning, even fielding. So not sure what can we look forward to in the next test in Cape Town.
Okay, Nikhil, let me come to you. It's not very often that a burger eats up an opposition, but that's happened. 7 for Fernande Burger. Rabada also brilliant, poignant that he took the last catch to give South Africa this 1-0 lead. What do you put it down to? Because even I saw some of the tweets you were putting out, you were really kind of puzzled.
You're puzzled because, see, when you do things, when you say things, they all come back to bite you. A lot of things were said and done whenever you've had things changing in Indian cricket. So you have to be accountable. I don't think there is accountability right now, because the lack of planning is there in your face. Uh, Paji touched upon, Travis said, Dean Elgar, they were very ये कि भाई हम इसको ऐसे ही आउट करेंगे. I mean, I tweeted about the place where they bowled. More than 50% of the balls that Dean Elgar faced were either very wide outside off or straight. How are you going to plan to get somebody out by bowling that? India just turned up hoping ke bhai, things will happen, but they don't happen. And that you have already lost in this country in a certain way. And it comes back to the same thing about, we discussed control, control, control. I mean, you are not taking this format seriously, or there is just no accountability. Ke bhai, you lose, nobody cares. Things will go on. We'll have a T10 league coming in with IPL franchises. At the end, that's what matters. Baaki to kya hi karna hai.
Gurkirat, when do you think this team management will learn their lessons? Obviously, another away test series really won't hurt them. They will, of course, pin it to the conditions, and they will, of course, have their reasoning. I'm really keen to hear what Rohit Sharma says in the post-match press conference. So, of course, it's happening right now. And if you guys are watching that and listening to us, drop it in the
He's
comments in terms of what he's had to say.
I think the post-match presentation is on. I'd be surprised if he turns up in the post-match in the post-match press conference, because the norm has been that whenever India have lost, it's Rahul Dravid who's mostly turned up for post-match press conferences. So there's that.
Correct.
When they learn, I don't know. Hopefully, before one of us, before our hair start turning gray, it would be difficult for me to even hide if it's the beard hair, but. Yeah, at this point of time, it's hard to have hopes, because uh, you do not expect professional setups to keep making the same mistakes with the same pattern time and again. It's
Yeah.
happening way too often. It's happening far too often. And yeah, at some point of time, you'd have to hope that maybe from somewhere the push comes that okay, you have to try out players who are doing well in Ranji or A tours. You just cannot be looking at players who you only you have seen. It's now happened with a lot of players. Even those who are doing well in the A tours, they are not even giving preferences. They at best they reach the squad, but not really the 11. So something has to be done on that bit for sure, because uh, I understand the captain and the coach having a preference, but there has to be some foundation as well to that preference. uh, if you are delivering with those results, you can understand, but despite their preferences, they've not been able to deliver with the results. So somewhere there has to be that foundation, whether you talk of, and this is across formats, whether you talk of T20, whether you talk of ODIs, or you talk of test matches. You have to look at players who are doing something in the feeder system. You have to at least give them chances somewhere. So on that front, Shreyas and Yashasvi and Gill getting game here is a good thing, but probably it's happened a little too late. It should have happened in the home season.
Indeed, lots of comments coming through, and understandably so, because India, indeed, just capitulating within 3 days of this first test in South Africa. They, are, of course, have the second test to save their bacon and not lose the series, but only time will tell if that happens. Remember, we'll delve into a lot of things in this preview. What's unfolded on day 3, we'll go chronologically as we always do, and we'll talk about each and every batter that is India and their dismissals and whether we could really pick something out of it. But first and foremost, Nikhil, South Africa started the day with a lead of 11. And boy, didn't they make it count in terms of getting on a sensational partnership with Marco Jansen, who got his highest test score, Dean Elgar getting his second highest test score. And it just gave you an impression of watching India in 2014, even though we're closing to 2024.
Yeah, truly, and again, I don't want people to think the other way around, but I just want to tell the same thing that we keep hearing about, intensity and all of that, aggression, everything, all that is required, but it can never make up for skill. So, a lot of people have been saying a lot के भाई एग्रेशन नहीं है, कोई ताली नहीं बजा रहा है, कोई कुछ कर नहीं रहा है, बट अगर तुम ताली बजा के बंदा तुमको लेग स्टंप हाफ वॉली डालेगा या आउटसाइड ऑफ वाइड डालेगा, तो your confidence is going to zip out in one ball. So I think India need to actually just start looking at the problems that are there. You discussed about how seamless it was, barring Bumrah, to take care of the Indian bowling. At no point of time in this test that you felt that, okay, these 15-20 minutes, India have really bowled well. I can sense a wicket coming. Did it ever happen? It never happened because there was always a release ball or something that was very harmless. So the opposition was more than happy because they know all they have to do is play out this guy, and the rest will feed you stuff that you can easily hit away. So I think it questions a lot of things in terms of how many. See, we all wanted Prasid to play, but the last thing or the least thing that you expect from anyone is to have some control, some preparation on themselves that this is what I'll do. So again, I'll end up repeating what I've said in the past, but that's what happened. That in the early session, the moment the lead crossed 50, 60, there was very little that could just stop them. And again, Ashwin wasn't tried till God knows how many overs because again, which is very rigid कि भाई हमारा प्लान ये है हम तो यही करेगा. So you did not even hold you did not even use him to hold an end. And when he came on, you had two drop catches also of him. Again, that might have come very late in the day, but the ship had already bolted by then. The horse had already bolted by then.
And I
That was
just
it.
want to add this that he did his job reasonably well.
Yeah, of
19
course,
overs, 6
100%.
maidens, 1 for 41, best economy rate, and he bowled like Siraj, Shardul, and Prasid bowled lesser maidens combined than Ashwin in this game. So that tells you about, yes, there's been a fair amount of criticism for Prasid and Shardul, but I'm not sure even Siraj can escape this criticism now because Australia 2021. Then he's been to England. He's been to South Africa. He's been to South Africa once before. This is probably his fourth overseas tour, and he has been to West Indies where he bowled well. So this is his fifth tour outside Asia, and you would expect better figures from him than 2 for 91 in 24 overs because that's nearly an economy rate of 4.
Yeah, it's honestly really something to pick out of when the bowlers look toothless. The bowlers, of course, tried to bolt plans when really they should have started doing that way, way earlier in the game, you felt. Evan Elgar was well documented in terms of how he couldn't really play the short ball, that right arm pit that the bowlers kind of get into the awkward angles. Eventually, that was his downfall. Let us know in the comments below. All you 108 people watching this, please give us a quick like because it's the end of the year. It's the holiday season. Even though India have lost, we're here reviewing it for you all. So please like this video wherever you guys are watching. And I will, of course, shout out your names in the comments as well. Neela Kandan, Jayesh Kemkar, Rohan Patel, all you regular people as well. RK Crick Talkies, good to see you. Keep your comments coming through. We're here for the next 20 minutes or so. And Kanan B as well. Good to see you in the comments because he goes on to say India reluctant to fresh ideas like teams pick bowlers based on conditions. It should be considered for batting too. Australia brought Hanscom given technique to succeed in India. We need to think different. And that's what I'm saying. It's role clarity, right? Like even though Shreyas Iyer has done incredibly well in terms of home tests, outside India, he doesn't give me an impression that he can really hang in there. I know that 31 eventually gave us some conviction. Like Shubman Gill today, boys, 26 that he got. I really, really think he looked good for whatever reason. He came out with that positive energy, and I feel like that's the Gill that we really, really want to see. We'll come to Gill and all the Indian batting dismissals in just a bit. But with that 163-run lead, Nikhil, do you think that India were ever in this game, even if we actually had to drop anchor and wait for the weather to come in maybe on day 4, do you think we even had a sniff after the first innings?
I mean, I told you that this could very well end today itself. The moment you said that India had to post 375 to get back in the game, I told you this could very well end today because uh, India haven't done this. They haven't batted long enough in testing conditions in recent times, and it's not the first time that it has happened. So you knew that they were going to be aggressive, and when you are going to do that, there will be chances created. I think uh, I would not. I don't know how else to put it, but I did not expect anything else from this batting lineup in terms of uh, you know now Rohit, openers get tough balls. That's there. You play them out, then you are getting, and then you hope that they go big. But Gill is looked very very tricky at 3. I don't know how the management also found it convincing. Let's bat him at 3 because I said this yesterday as well or day before that 3 is not a place where you are going to hide from the new ball. And I don't think there is going to be much difference when you're playing away from home. Garpe, you could still potentially have a very big partnership early, and then you can come in at a different time of the innings. But at 3 overseas, it is most likely going to be the first 10-15 overs. So, kitna change hoga, we don't know. KL Rahul and Virat were the only two options that I was fairly confident on, and Virat did look $1 million in terms of how he got in, the positions that he got into, and the freebies that South Africa gave to him. He was more than happy to put them away, but is able to keep the good balls out. And I think that is something that the team has to start learning more, because they aren't keeping good balls out. And in fact, some of the dismissals you'll say weren't even good balls to begin with.
Let's pick the bones out of those dismissals and go, Kirat. We'll start chronologically. And Rohit Sharma, I don't know if you put that down to, oh, he got a pearler. Oh, he's, of course, just, I don't know, it's not his day. And he's not had so many single digit scores in the last 31 test innings. Cut him some slack. Even the most ardent Rohit fans, how can they defend what he had to display in this test? The first one, maybe you could cut him some slack. But the second one, come on, you have to be more tighter in defense, or am I just being really harsh?
No, I'd actually, have an opposite viewpoint. I'd say the ball that he got in the second innings is a really difficult one to keep out, especially early on in the innings, because it's very similar to the one that Virat got from Rabada. And Virat was fairly set when he got that and still was dismissed while Rohit was still new to the crease. I am more disappointed with his inning with his dismissal in the first innings, to be very honest, because I did not think that was a wicket taking ball. Uh, Yashasvi, I don't have much to say because again, first Test match in South Africa, looked good while he was there, especially in the first innings. Today, hardly got the chance, and the ball bounced a lot more on him. Disappointed with Gill. I said it even in our own WhatsApp group that you cannot be a batter in the top three in a Test team if you are consistently struggling against the ball coming in, because that is one delivery good bowlers can execute even in the absence of swing, because they can just bowl with the angle and get the ball to come in, right? You can
In
the
fact,
bowlers can,
sorry, the ball that Gill got out to Gurkirat was pretty much a similar ball that Virat kind of flicked to get his 50, similar lengths,
yeah,
that
yeah,
whippage
yeah,
in the left.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What do you
yeah.
put it down to? Because Gill was seeing it pretty well up until that stage.
It's you cannot put it anything down to, but the technical frailties which he's had, wherein the gap between the bat and pad is a lot more, and you felt I think it was in the second T20I where you felt that he just ended up playing the wrong line to Lizard Williams. Yeah. I think Williams was the bowler, and he was LBW there. He got out bowled here, so it's been a similar pattern. Maybe it's because the backlifts way too higher for it, and it's taking time to come for the bat to come down. It could be one of those two reasons. But yeah, it's been an obvious weakness. Shreyas also did not really inspire a lot of confidence. I felt it for some time that if India have to get the best out of Gill, he has to bat at five. I am completely in agreement with Nikhil, where he said that it's not going to make much of a difference if you want to protect a batter from swing. If you move them down from the opening to the number three spot, because the ball, even if you come in the 15th over, the ball's still swinging. So, uh,
But
and
one
to be
second, just on Shreyas, I mean, beg your pardon, Shubman, up until that 26, be honest with me, as an Indian cricket fan, did he give you conviction with those couple of shots on the onside and those couple of cover drives?
So those lengths and those shots we've always known that he has had. The problem has not been the range with Shubman. The problem's been the defensive part of his batting with him, especially with the ball coming in. You keep bowling him that he'll be able to find boundaries the entire day. That's not a problem with him. The problem is with the ball coming in. So and I think you'll only feel confident about that with him if he's able to not get dismissed in the similar manner where he's getting bowled or LBW. He
So
shots he has.
do you
That
think
is
that was
not
a
a problem.
brain fade then?
To call it a brain fade is also not fair. It's just been an obvious technical issue. You could feel that the bowlers are looking to set him up for that one.
But
So
but
played
you
the
speak
wrong
about the
line.
technical bits. I'm fine with that. What about the mental bits? Because he's replacing a man in Pujara who is complete opposite in terms of the batsmanship, just setting up shops, sometimes taking blows. Do you see that from someone like Shubman? Such an important position in Test cricket.
I don't think batters of that ilk are going to be easily available now in Test cricket, especially because of the way the game's moving. we have found that, uh, batters who are batting in similar molds, what they, I mean, Smith is a good example of this. He can keep balls out, he will get runs, but eventually the big runs, if you will not look to put pressure on the bowlers, you struggle to get those big runs, which was happening with Pujara. So you may be able to get a 40 or 50, which is something that you will take at this moment. But eventually, I don't think that the game's moving that way, that you can have batters who have good defensive techniques but then lack range of shots. I
Yeah.
think you need a balance of both, because otherwise, especially in these conditions, there will be balls which will have your number on it and you may not be able to do a lot, especially if you're just looking to defend. So
Yeah.
you have to find that balance somewhere.
Okay. Keep your
And
comments coming through. Dix, I'll
just to
just get
add,
you in. Go on,
yeah,
go on.
no, just to point that the guy who scored 185 is someone who played that kind of cricket where he doesn't have a lot of shots, but he just found a way to score.
No,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
but credit to him that, he was feasting on the opportunities of, the opportunities which came his way in terms of finding that boundary.
Yeah,
Whenever
cricket.
Pujara, whenever Pujara post 2021 looked to do that, he looked very good. You look at
Yeah,
all those second innings, whether it was in Leeds or Lords or even in Indore, on that minefield of a pitch. He even stepped out a bowler and stepped out to Lion, or I think, yeah, it was Lion, and hit a six. So that is something very important, that while you are being solid in defense, you are not letting go of opportunities to score
yeah,
runs.
completely agree.
Let's take some comments right now, and lots of them coming through. Obviously, a lot of people watching right now, so please like this. I hate reminding y'all, but you guys know the drill. Um, Thoughts on betting him, saying Jaydeep. I mean, we've just made another debutant look really good. Now his test average is already 56. His first class numbers are really solid. I just think he'll probably be a modern day Neil McKenzie in that ilk for South Africa. So onwards and upwards there. Keep your comments coming through. Lots of more. Important ones. India needs a Pujara like overseas at number 3, which could be Bihari. Once Pantri returns, KL can take IS slot overseas. But again, it's just a game of musical chairs. Then we need role clarity. Is something we're harping on this channel time and time and again. Do you guys know why they removed KL as an opener if the replacement is not good against swing, which is the primary job of an opener? I thought he gave Rohit a lot of support and reassurance, but now it's a new role, so I don't think they're going to just suddenly have knee-jerk reactions over there. How do you see Shreyas? And that really kind of is a good way to bring into Shreyas a dismissal as well. Um, Next, again, what do you put it down to?
Waiting for the short ball,
Yeah,
not for the first time. Just thinking that it'll come, and the full one's there, and then that's just how Shreyas Avnish got out is exactly how Shreyas got out. एकदम बैट के नीचे से बॉल चला गया while trying to be very expansive. But see, the problem here is you have to be fair with him also. Okay, now that you've given him, whenever you've given him chance, he's done well. You can't just say, "Okay, bhai, will not play you away from home." You have to play him. Given that, okay, he's played well, you're showing him confidence. Okay, there is an area of concern, but that area of concern is there for every single batter. In terms of there are chinks that every batter has to work out. But I think what really they have to be very sure of is how much is it seeping in to be too much for the batter, and it shouldn't be something that affects his all-round game as well. So he gets the next test, and then India play England at home, then those will be completely different conditions. So it's very difficult, and it is why I keep harping about the fact that they have to pick separate pools, because you need to be ready for these conditions. I don't think India have planned or done things so that they are ready for such extreme conditions. You may have to send them on A2s before, get used to that kind of thing, because they'll play in South Africa, then you'll play at home versus England, and then you have Australia test. These are completely different conditions to play in. But what will you do? Array, let's play white ball cricket, let's play ODIs, let's play. It doesn't help the player develop skills that he's not at his best. And again, if you don't have time to work, you're always going to try and learn on the go. It may not always come to fruition. So I think he definitely gets the next test for sure, and the India the home test. And after that, maybe you can take a call. If he keeps getting out in a similar manner, then you'll have to just sit down with him and figure out, okay, boss, this is the problem. These are our options, and then you take a call at that point of time.
Okay. Nandlal Sepat, yes, we will be making a team of the year of all formats. So, what's his space? There is going to be lots of trickle effect in the Monday Night Live, which falls on January 1st. So, what's that as well? Archit Ariman, Santa De Cruz, good questions. Keep them coming through. And Rohan Patil as well. We'll take as many as we can. But we'll just address the Virat Kohli knock right now because 76 that he got. And Paji just quickly messaged me during the knock saying if Kohli does get 100, dil khush ho jaye. So, Paji, that wasn't to be, but are you still happy with that 76? And how much do you rate it out of 10? Because I think one of the people in the comments asked that right now.
Yeah, I mean, post pandemic, this is the best that I've seen Kohli bat in test matches because the way he batted today and in the first innings, there were shades of his batting from 2016 to 2018. Uh, Post pandemic from 2022 up to 2023, you felt that he was not as aggressive enough. Probably, today he played a 6 over point, and I've been anyone who's followed this, followed me on this show, said so many times that the cut shot has gone missing. So that was something that I loved a lot. So easily, I hope this innings, or this test match, is the way it has gone, is probably start of a second wind for Kohli in test matches. And it's not just a flash in the pan, because before this, from what you've seen, is you've seen Kohli bat well in test matches, but it's mostly been a battle of attrition, even on decent surfaces. So on a pitch like this, for him to come out and dominate the bowlers, find those boundaries confidently, was just great to see. And if he starts playing that cut shot a lot more, it will solve a lot of issues for him as a test batter, because then I don't think bowlers will be able to bowl that quarter of a length on the fifth stump, because now he'll have that option to play that cut or play those punches, which he used to do earlier between 2016 to 2018. So loved what I saw of him. Hopefully this can continue.
Yeah, Nick, at the top of the show, you mentioned that he looked like $1 million, Virat Kohli. And we're asking, of course, a lot of people in the comments right now. Went in vain. 76 is 153. Remember, in that second test in 2018, went in vain as well. But Saturday Cruz quickly to jump in, saying 9 and 10, he dates a knock. Do you think that shot, that over point for six, quickly that the mentioning, was a get out of jail shot? And it was almost to do with his mindset on a pitch like this, that if it is a bad ball to put away, I'll put it away because runs are going to be hard to come by. So do you think that was a mentality which eventually showed in his strike rate?
Yeah, Paji.
Knicks.
Yeah, okay. I think, see, it was more of him just playing the situation as as much as he can, and when he saw wickets also going away, and I mean, he's himself said it in the past as well that you can't allow the bowlers to keep bowling at one spot. So if they are bowling bad, you want to put the pressure back on them, and that is something that he did. The unfortunate bit about it was still South Africa kept away to keep coming back. They dropped quite a few chances, but still they were thereabouts, creating more chances, so that Kohli had no option but to just keep going. And see, I don't think or advocate that as a style of play, because I don't think it is sustainable. You cannot plan to play like that, because it is, you are reacting to the ball. And so, and it's also to do in different conditions, right? There are conditions, say in Australia, okay, if it is not doing much for a period of time, then you say, like, okay, now the ball is not doing much, let's try and put pressure back by doing this, by doing that. But if it's doing something, this is always going to be fraught with risk, and it may come off, it may not come off. So I think the best bit is to just play on the merit and what you think is best at that point of time. I think Virat did that best in both the innings, got a peach in the first one, and again got out to a great catch in the second. And in between that, as Paji shared as well, lots of positives to pick out in terms of how comfortable Virat looked in terms of judging length, leaving as well. I think he did get beaten, but that's okay. I think he left very well in terms of going hard at a only particular set of options. So I think that is probably one of the two positives that India have from this test match.
Indeed. Lots more comments coming through. Neela Kannan saying how Prasid Krishna gets selected in tests since he played only 12 first class games. Look, I mean, because of height, because of certain things, he took a hat trick in that game running up to the test match. So, of course, you can look back in hindsight and talk about various performances individually, the usage of Ashwin, Rohit's captaincy. There's lots of people questioning Rohit with the bat. Ritik Kumar going on to say, why can't Rohit can't bat in South Africa? Averages 12 and 5 tests. So keep your questions coming through. M. Rajesh has one for Knicks, but I want to ask Gurkirat again about any particular changes that Rohit Sharma will kind of bring in to the next test. Because right now, even as a test match captain, I think Rohit, fine, we spoke about it yesterday about how he was devoid of ideas. But I'm pretty sure the headlines tomorrow morning, there will be a few daggers thrown, I presume, at Rohit, the captain.
There will be, but I'm not sure how much will it help. I mean, for this test match alone, if you're, having that context itself and not others, that there is a lot of criticism that you can do, but I'm not sure how much can you do in terms of in this test matches apart from the bowling plans and the fact that they started with Prasid and Shardul post lunch yesterday. Changes if Jadeja's fit, I see him walking in the 11. Uh, if they are as stubborn as they have been, that would mean that they'll replace Ashwin with Jadeja, which is fair. But I think given how Prasid bowled, they might just think or consider the possibility of maybe having Ashwin as well, purely in terms of getting that control. They'll think about it, but I don't think they'll go ahead with it. Uh, if they decide on not playing Prasid, Mukesh could come in. Other than that, I don't see any changes.
I like the Jadeja for the Prasid change, to be very honest with you, because I just think Ashwin can do a containing role. We've seen Lion do it, I mean, regardless of the conditions. And sometimes we just have to
No, but
hang
the
our hat
difference
on
is
Ashwin.
Lion is trusted to do the job. Lion
I
gets
understand.
longer spells. Ashwin
But I'm just
doesn't
saying,
get those
Ashwin,
longer spells.
yeah. So now, if they're picking Ashwin, you have to really imagine that how much of Shardul bowling can he do? I mean, being a third seamer then. So I think Ashwin and Jadeja will be good. Nix, let me just pick your mind here. What do you see as the changes? You can't tell me all 11 because I know you want all 11 out of there. But
No, no. I don't want all 11 out there. I just want the people who they trust to be part of the 11. So pick the 11 for the game, not for online or offline stuff that is happening. Just pick the people that you think will help your team do better on the field. Uh, the pick of Ashwin seems like one that is sorry for not playing him the last two times. Jadeja's got injured. I don't think we can play Mukesh Prasid and Shardul. That will be too much. So let's just play Ashwin. It could be, it could not be. Of course, nobody's going to tell us what it is, and we are also speculating. But the usage is what makes you question them. Had he been used and trusted more, then you can make a comment that okay, this is the problem, that is the problem, whatever the numbers are, because you cannot look at the spinners number when your pacers are going at over 4. So आपका spinner से expectation again, as if I continue to say, our accountability of Ashwin is far more than it is of Siraj or somebody else. We are just expecting far too much from people not playing in their best role, not playing in the team that trusts them to continue to do well everywhere. But the people who are picked for the job are not able to control or create enough breakthroughs. But you're not going to question them. And even of course, Rohit is not going to say in the press conference that the bowling was not good. He said a lot of these guys haven't been here, but those who have been here did not do anything else as well. So I just feel we are just very happy to just keep things as they are. So in the next test, I see Jadeja coming back if he's fit, and Mukesh probably playing for Prasid. Whoever they pick, just trust them and use them in their best spot. That's all.
yeah, the usage of players and how you kind of really marshal your resources, Rohit Sharma, that will be very, very important to watch. You can catch the coverage on cricket.com. It'll be fantastic. It'll be our first series of 2024 amongst many. Speaking of different series, it's been a shit day in the office in terms of Indian cricket viewing, because India lost today by an innings and 32 runs. That's what we're talking about right now. But in just a while, we'll of course dissect the 6-wicket defeat that we suffered to the Australia women in the Wankhede. Even though there was good positives with the bat,
Yes, yes.
Jemmy getting 82, I think
Puja.
Pooja getting 62. But it wasn't a B because Phoebe Litchfield and Elise Perry doing what they do best, getting handy 70s to take Australia over the line and give them a 1-0 lead in that ODI series. We'll take some more questions as we're here right now. KL dismissal reminded me of Kohli dismissal, usual one, but I thought KL could have been better in that thoughts. It was again a great setup by Andre Berger, if you ask me. And just before that ball, I don't know, maybe
Yes.
there was a chat between Virat and KL, and I'm not saying he put him off or anything like that, but he just probed at it and he just kind of perished. Let's give Amit Gupta's question to Gurkirat then. What do you guys think about Dravid's role and strategy in all of this? Because we are blaming Rohit. Who will be the scapegoat here? Are you already from the offset saying the captain and the coach are? Because if India win, they get all the credit. So if India lose, they should get all the blame, right?
No, I've always used the word management because I don't think it's fair to put it on one single individual, because even if the say if one person is adamant on one thing, then the other should step in. And if Dravid feels that he doesn't have the power, or it's going to be Rohit who's going to take the calls, then he should not really extend his contract. Once you are in that chair, or once you are in that seat, regardless of who's taking those calls or not, you also have a sense of accountability. So for I have always used the word management because I feel both the coach and captain work as a pair or as a unit, which is why sometimes I have some criticism reserved for Ravi Shastri, that post his coaching stint, whatever wrong has happened, he puts it on someone else or the other. He says, "Oh, I did not have the say in terms of selecting the team, etc., etc." But you will never see him say that for the gap for the BGT of 2021, right? So that's something that I don't agree with and I don't like, which is why I always use the word management, because I think more than one person is involved in the decision making process, and that's how it should be. If you are asking the coach to go, then you might as well ask the captain to go as well, and have that accountability. And to be fair, Virat and Dravid have been together for what, two test matches, one tour, which was in South Africa. So it's bound to be on both Rohit and Dravid.
I mean, it's a good point that you mentioned that. And Vasant asks a very good question, just straightforward off the bat. Why is it so hard for India to win a test series in South Africa, Nix? Because I don't know how many times we've gone there now, right now, and another opportunity missed. Is it because of the conditions, the bounce, the uneven um, up and down that we get in these surfaces on day 4, day 5? Do you put it down to anything? I mean, if we look back on series and tours, is there a constant theme? Is it us and our short ball frailties?
So I don't think it's a single POV that, or a factor that I think is contributing, but I think it's very, very challenging any which ways to be part of South Africa tours, because conditions change and you need to adapt very, very quickly. They are very unforgiving in that sense, uh, and I don't think they are predictable. So you go to Australia, you go to England, and you again, this is we are clutching to straws here in terms of trying to draw parallels and have a general consensus that what is likely to happen in Perth, or in SCG or in MCG. The dropping decks kind of behave in a way that you can still predict. I don't think in South Africa it's always the case that you are able to know that, okay, this is how much it will bounce. There won't be unevenness. There is lateral movement, there is swing, and there is bounce. So I think it probably tests you from every single angle possible, and with both bat and ball. So either times there are times where you feel, okay, you have bowled well, but you have batted horribly, or you have batted decently, but the bowling is still not adapting enough to those conditions for you to make a lasting impact. So you see that with England as well. Why does that the 22 series feel like an opportunity lost? Because at that point of time, you kind of felt that the bowling unit was coming together really well in terms of you having a new ball burst that was working. Siraj bowling at his best. You were using Umesh really well with the old ball on uneven surfaces. So that is something that you are still able to predict and plan to. I think with South Africa, you are not able to get all of those boxes ticked, and I think preparation probably is one of the things that you have to really look into, which is a good thing to. Now I'll go and check how Sri Lanka did this, because they they're the last team to win, surprisingly there. But I think there will be some lessons for India to pick from there. Who knows?
Yeah, it's important that you mentioned Sri Lanka. Even Australia has a series when there's normal, but India haven't got that monkey off the back. There's a lot of questions about Gill, which I will give to our Gill right now, because everyone's kind of talking about. I mean, Archit Aryaman has been going on for a while in the comments about this. Gill still has a back foot trigger. I will join the blame at 5 in Test bandwagon. Brooks' Test potential has come at 5. Even he has that trigger movement. And there's another question from Introspect regarding Shubman Gill. How come Dravid is foolish enough to play Gill at number 3 and play Iyer in Sena? What do you put it down to? Do you look at it as foolishness, or do you look at it as bravery from Dravid?
I think it's more of stubbornness more than anything else. Bravery is not an adjective that I'll associate with this management. I've had my reasons, and I've spoken on this long enough. The foolishness is something that I will not use. Is something that I will not use because of the fact that they've not tried players, and when you've not tried players enough, you won't get to see who's there. And in fact, what I found truly surprising was that when Sri Lanka came to India in 2022, Dravid started off with Shreyas ahead of Gill in the middle order. That for me was a surprise. But I will not use the word foolish. I just the thing that I think the two adjectives that will stay with me for this management is, one is timid, the other is being stubborn. That's about it. And you can apply it across formats. You can apply it across formats, across conditions, across opponents. You will see timidness and stubbornness whichever big moment you will pick up with this team management.
But you keep saying stubbornness. You mean what? I mean, picking Gill and playing him there, because Kanan's saying which domestic circuit do you think have a better technique to succeed in Gill? I mean, do you not? You put it down to technique. Do you put it down to what? I mean, Gill at 3.
No, stubbornness in terms of not realizing the mistakes that they are doing. It's something that even Nikhil spoke of in terms of bowling plans. Now the reason to move Gill to number 3 was that they found that he was struggling versus swing. But how can you then succeed at number 3? Because there's a good chance that you'll get one of your openers will get out early if there is swing available, and you'll have to end up facing swing. In fact, in the conditions that you encounter these time in these days, especially the last 2 to 3 years, is even at number 5 you have to sometimes walk in the first 15. Anyway, the work should have been on making sure that his defensive game against the in-swinger is improving regardless of what position he bats. That
So
is
how do
number
you
one.
do that? How do you do that? I mean, Dravid can only teach him a little bit, right? I mean, everyone has to really negate swing.
Give him a break. You don't have to necessarily play him in every format of the game. अगर जब वो if you are see that's where a longer vision helps. I don't think they have a long vision. Everything is very अगले 3 महीने क्या अगला 6 महीने क्या. They're not thinking long term. If you think long term, you can say we don't need you to play the T20s. We have Gaikwads and others and everybody else in line. They'll play the T20s. You go there, or go to this county, this go there and do this. It is as simple as it can be. And if you can't do with all the money and all the resources that you can, so there is no hope for anybody else. So you can do it. It's about intent and not wanting to stick to the same pull up, which is where his point of stubbornness also comes in. That we will only move around the players that we know and we have seen. We will not try other people. And just to put it out there, India are just an injury scare to Ashwin and Jadeja away from being shit scared at home. So that is also there. You don't have anybody else to even remotely come close to what they do at home. So that's also there.
Yeah, to some extent you can say that maybe Akshar can be a backup for Jadeja, but who's going to replace Ashwin if Ashwin's not fit? You don't have answers to that.
Yeah, you don't, and it really just makes you think about how India select going forward. They love having the mixed formats. Nick's just mentioned it over there, and Nick's like Saturday Cruising, spitting absolute facts. Give this video a like, and of course, follow all these boys individually. Iyer or Jaiswal के जगह पुजारा
No,
और
no,
रहाने को
this
होना
is
चाहिए
something
था.
I'll never agree to.
Let's not go
See,
back to that. Even
इसका
so many
एक ही पॉइंट
people
है.
were missing Rahane because of slip catching, and I'm like,
See,
no,
इसका
man.
एक ही बात है. See, this is exactly why this is how the management also thinks, and this is something that we have to move ahead from. Okay, you cannot keep going back to the same people. क्योंकि when will the next batch learn? So your questions and your intent should be such ke, okay, what did you gain out of playing a Shreyas there? Okay, this is what you got. This is the problem area to work with. Then you work with him and do better. You can't keep going back to the same people and then say ke, अरे ये थे तो हार गए. You can't give everybody 10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll have to build people as well.
No, that's very true. And the fact that, look, we always will just say, there's a big saying in English saying, be careful what you wish for. So whenever Rahane and Pujara departed at that point in time, everyone was like, yeah, it's time to bleed the youngsters. And now we're bleeding the youngsters and people want to go back. Now, Gurkirat Nix will sum up in just a bit. This test match, when we look back 5 years from now, 2 years later, whatever, we'll blame it on the bowling, I'm guessing, even though there was batting frailties. And everyone's asking about the bowling. Everyone's kind of asking questions like Neela Kandan right now, why Indian bowlers not try to bowl short balls. Some even pointed out the difference in height in some of their bowlers and the angles that they created. What do you put the bowling down to in terms of not the technical side of things, but more the mental side of things? Gurkirat, I'll start with you here. Just for the viewers, because they've just been going mad in the comments.
On the mental side of things, you have to, talk about the planning bit. You have to also talk about the lack of discipline. See, we associate, we talk a lot in terms of batters showing discipline, and even the the people who are watching the game are able to appreciate the fact when batters have shown discipline in a tough spell. Similarly, even bowlers are required to sometimes show discipline. When nothing is happening, just keep at it. Don't leak runs. The fact that Shardul, Prasid, and Siraj combined bowled 5 maidens and Ashwin bowled 6 maidens sums up a lot of things. I am not saying that the pitch did not ease out. It did, but at some point of time, as bowlers, you have to look for discipline. You have to say, okay, we are not nothing's happening off the pitch, or we are not getting the ball to beat the bat, but we have to make sure that we don't leak runs. We have to make sure that the mistake is manufactured from somewhere.
But doesn't
And
that come down to also aggressive field sets, strategic field sets, planning for each
no,
batter,
so
which
yeah,
we
it
see with Ben
is.
Stokes?
It is, but sometimes I don't know how many would remember this. There was a test match in 2008 in Nagpur, India versus Australia. India scored 441. Australia started off very well on day two, and uh, nothing was happening off the pitch. It was Michael Hussey, Michael Clark, and Simon Katich. Yes, Simon Katich. The Simon Katich and Michael Hussey were batting with Clark to follow. And MS Dhoni came up with this plan that we'll only bowl outside the off stump. Let's see what they do. And
Advantage.
to to be fair I mean, MS also had Zahir and Nishant who could keep up with that plan. So it yielded some success. India got 2 wickets because uh, out of nowhere, then Zahir slipped in a Yorker and got Katich out. But so this is why Nikhil also mentioned about Rohit's captaincy, the lack of proactiveness, the stubbornness, and everything. That even as bowlers, you have to sometimes think out of the box. If nothing is happening, what can we do to stop the flow of runs? Can we come around the wicket and bowl on one side of the pitch? What are we, because today also you felt uh, Elgar was fairly comfortable and
Today, the first time we tried anything out of the box was when Shardul bowled around the wicket to Gerald Coetzee. That was
yeah,
a joke. When
yeah.
already the damage was done.
Yeah, so it was too late. So basically, the other thing that could have been done, if you saw Elgar playing today, there was hardly any attempt to bowl around the wicket to him. And if you look at most left-handed batters in the last 4 5 years, many of them have struggled with the angle of around the wicket to a right-arm pacer, because it tests them on both the edges. Because Helgar was more than happy to let the ball go whenever he felt that, okay, this is a little too far for my reach. So even that did not happen. So like I said, it is fifth tour outside Asia for Siraj and Shardul. You have to ask of improvement from them as well.
And Mojo Jojo,
And
we really
also just
appreciate
to,
comments. But we need someone like
yeah.
Ishant. I mean, it's not really necessarily speed sometimes. It's also about that kind of craft. But go on, Nick. Sorry.
So just on that point about Ishan, you need people to be doing this enough. We talk
Yeah.
about playing the format enough. Prasidh Krishna also has to play a lot of first class cricket to be getting to bowling those longer spells. You want to make a Warner, a Wagner, or a Johnson out of people. They are bowling so much in their domestic setup as well to be able to do it on the international stage. The problem that I feel with this management is they pick people and they say, "Okay, tu ye karega." But are you spending enough time with them that they'll be able to execute that well? You can take a similar example with Sky in the format. That the guy is struggling in a format to nail his tempo, yet you're taking him to a World Cup just hoping he'll find. It doesn't happen like that, right? You've played enough cricket, you've been part of enough cricket, and I don't think there need to be two better people in Rohit and Rahul to know this, which is what makes all of these very very surprising to me. कि how does it not occur to them कि अगर प्रसिद्ध से bowling करानी है या शार्दुल से bowling करानी है, अगर short ball नहीं हो रहा है, how can you not have a plan B or plan C or plan D just to find a way that works for them? See, you can't compete with Rabada's angle and pace and say, okay, bowl like him. No, but there is something that works for you. Where is it?
Yeah.
All you're going to try and do is you're just saying तीन ball डाला, चौथा ball कहीं और. How can that be a problem for a test bowler? That is a prerequisite कि तू 6 ball एक जगह पे डाल. But you have to play ना. तुम अगर सिर्फ ODI और T20 खेलोगे तो it's an instinctive thing. 3 ball के बाद you will feel कि नहीं भाई I'll have to change something. There isn't no need there, right? So you have to work on that aspect as well. And again, it goes back to the point: separate pools. Keep people playing a format that you want them to do better in. The muscle memory and everything will stay intact, and they will also be more accountable because they know that we are not playing any other format. If we don't do well here, we're not going to play this more. So I think that could be a way for them to look out and just plan better in terms of resources.
Indeed, and you talk about South Africa's resources, they came up absolute trumps. Dean Elgar, who of course eventually stood in as captain with Temba Bavuma, now ruled after the second test with that hamstring injury, goes on to of course have a memorable test and of course a fairy tale kind of series. It's only right and fitting, Gurkirat, that we talk about South Africa a little bit because Rabada, brilliant. Since his debut, there's not been a pacer in world cricket who's got more wickets than him. So kudos to Gugis Rabada. And of course, getting fastest 50 wickets against India and all of that. And it's a question that Siddiq Sumro has for Nick, which I want to throw both of you guys to right now because we've seen Nanre Berger, brilliant sort of test match for him. We know what Anrik Nokia can do when he comes back. What is it going to be in that second test? And what is it going to be going forward, Nikhil? You first and then Gurkirat.
See, I think it depends on fitness for of course as well. I mean, he walked off the field after this spell today. So if Nokia is fit and he's coming back for Kodzi, it is only going to make things tougher for India. But it is how I think it should always be. That's why away wins are special and they need to be celebrated because they come in conditions that are not something that are used to. So I think KG Nokia slash Kodze Burger has made enough food of thought for everybody to not drop him at all. And then Janssen's contribution with the bat was very, very handy. So there is room where you feel that South Africa with 10 men were able to beat India in 3 days by an innings and 32 runs. So it just tells you how far back India were. So I think the fifth bowling option is something that they may even contemplate, but at this point of time, given how well these four are bowling, I don't think they'll be tempted to do that. But again, eventually it might be a condition based call. So they might not hesitate in getting Maharaj in as well. So won't be surprised if that happens.
Gurkirat, Proteas pace battery. We've seen so many over the years. Donald Pollock, Nanti Hayward, and then of course the good old Stain Mokulera. Then you talk about Philander and the likes of them. Are we seeing another pace battery come to the fore, or what?
We will never really know because this South African team doesn't get to play a lot of test matches. So that is something we'll never know. And uh, Rabada also has a lot of workload issue. He has to play almost all formats because of the quota policy as well. So it's even when South Africa want to rest him, they're not able to. So see, they will always have those pacers which will have a lot of raw materials, but how will they sustain them? That will be the question. And how often will you see them play together? Because in between they also had a lot of players go the Kolpak way, and you felt that they were losing out on a lot of players. But now that is something that's not happening anymore. So good on them. Hopefully they can make a very good pace attack that gets to play across conditions and play enough, because I think this pace attack, if they play enough, gain experience, they have the ability to even challenge Australia in Australia and New Zealand in New Zealand. And they've been, before India won these two test series in Australia, there's only South Africa who had done it before. And they were South Africa versus Australia in Australia used to be a series which everyone looked forward to, because that is when you felt that Australia could definitely lose. So yeah, embarrassment of riches in terms of pacers there.
Absolutely. I mean, good day for South Africa, though. They'll be absolutely chuffed to go 1-0 up. Nikhil Gukira, thank you so much for your time. There's more comments coming through. I really, really can't cater to them. It's almost been a 1 hour rant show, this, in terms of not just reviewing the game, but we'll just feature some of the comments to make you all feel special. Good that you guys keep having your thoughts on cricket.com in the comments. We'll talk about it in greater detail, I'm sure, in the preview as well, in terms of the first class setup and how India can really trust their Ranji players. Superhero going to go on to say, instead of series, every team should play 2 tests against each other, home and away, 18 match in total, top 4 semi-final. That's food for thought. Speaking of food, it's time for dinner. A winner chicken dinner. India can't say that, South Africa can. And a lovely, lovely show this, boys. Even though India have lost 84-85 constantly watching. And up next, like I said, we have the match review of India women's versus the Australia women's. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be for the women in blue out there in the Wankhede, but Akshay Kumaraswamy and the girls will talk about that. And until the next time, Happy New Year. And of course, stay safe to all you boys. I'll see you in 2024. It's been a thoroughly entertaining 2023. But yet again, India have disappointed, not just in the World Test Championship or the World Cup, but also now in the South Africa series. Good Kirat, good night. Nikhil, goodbye, and I'll see you soon. We'll leave it there, gentlemen and ladies. Thanks for watching. Bye. But stay
Cheers.
tuned. Stay tuned. There's
Stay
still
tuned.
another show. Okay,
Yeah.
cheers. Bye.